Welcome, everybody, to episode 11 of the Hendriks Experience Podcast. With us today, Justin Taylor. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jerry. I appreciate it.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you here. Justin is, just to give everybody a little bit of background, Justin is our most recent team member.
Yes.
And Justin is progressing beautifully through the real estate course. So I wanted to have you on, even though you're not officially licensed yet. It's very close.
Close.
But I want to share a little bit with everybody about what it's like. Like, it's been a long time. I've been in real estate 35 years now. So it's been a long time. I still actually have my first books from phase 1, 2, and 3 on my shelf in my office. So I still can refer back to, although I don't really refer back to them too often.
Well, I would love to see how thin the paper is from back then.
And, I still remember those days. It was quite stressful.
Yes, it definitely is. It's something that's, when we first sat down, I did want to talk to you about obviously progressing through the course and how I didn't want to take it as a job in a way. I wanted to take it as this is a career for myself and something that I wanted to do for a lifetime. And it's definitely something that's very stressful, as nobody likes to read thousands of pages and take in as much knowledge as possible without trying to forget it, right? And it's something that has taken a little bit of time, but we're getting there.
Fair enough. You're doing a great job, man.
I appreciate that.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Now, speaking of jobs and careers, I will like to touch a little bit upon your previous career.
Yeah. So
you're a great looking guy.
Well, yeah. So
you were a model.
No,
not a model.
No, I wish. But I actually came from an industry that was relatively the same, but one was underground, and this is obviously above ground. So it's definitely comparable. But
now it may take everybody a minute to realize what you're really saying there, because they may not have gotten that.
Yeah. So
Justin, you were not I was going to say you were an undertaker. You weren't an undertaker.
No, definitely not. No, definitely not.
But you were in sales.
Yeah, so I
would say you were also in the service industry.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
We'll put a little bit of fun, a little bit of seriousness on this.
Let people guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a pre-planning cemetery and funeral director for 4 years.
Hold on, say that slower one time.
A pre-planning cemetery and funeral director for 4 years of my career, yes.
Exciting.
Yes, I would say
maybe.
so.
Maybe
yes.
not. I'm not sure.
Oh, there's definitely exciting times.
I would think that there's a lot of people in the world who would never want your job.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
yes.
not. And when I first started, I didn't think I wanted that job either, but it was something that I was very passionate about. It was something that I've always come from customer service and just wanted to represent each family. And that's what's kind of brought me here, was that it was important to continue the customer-centric kind of ways and making sure that people are taken care of.
Absolutely. And that's so important in real estate. It's the same idea.
Absolutely.
So what caused you to feel like you wanted to make that change from pre-planning funeral director? I don't know. There's a few others in there, but so selling plots, basically.
Yeah. So
you were selling real estate, but except your real estate was what, 3 by
Definite.
3 by 8 by 6. The lots were much smaller.
Yeah. Sadly, when you bought my house in the cemetery, you sadly weren't getting out of it, right? So
no.
It was
so not many repeat customers. You sold them a plot. I was going to say they lived there. They finished there.
They do sadly finish there, but
yes.
It was definitely an experience where I found a lot of people were excited about the purchase, just to make sure that everything was taken care of for their family.
Excited? They were excited about the purchase?
Absolutely. And that's the problem that a lot of people see now, or that I saw in the industry, was that many people were excited. They were excited to make sure that their final resting space was taken care of, so that their family didn't have to worry about it.
Okay, so you're referring to the pre-planning part. So
absolutely,
because I'm guessing sometimes you dealt with folks that were planning for the future.
Absolutely.
And when you say they felt good about it, it's because, hey, if we can take care of this, we can take some of the emotion, the stress. It's going to be a very difficult time, very sad time. So if we can take that off the plate and emotions of our family, then we're doing something good to help them out.
Yep.
Correct?
You nailed it. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Other times, were you still also dealing in the moment of people who were, going through a death in the family?
Definitely so, because especially during the COVID-19 times of our lives, we did have a lot of people that sadly passed away, and that could have been from mental health. It could have been from obviously COVID itself and other situations that sadly, most of the times we did sit down with a family that recently has lost someone, right? So,
and I guess in the COVID times, because of the gatherings, you couldn't have them.
yes,
It was more a solemn, like quieter individual experience with, just a couple people. So
Definitely
that
so.
must have had not some good challenges, but we must have had some challenges with it as well.
well, it came with many challenges, as it's tough to say to your loved ones that, sorry, you can't come because there's a capacity to the service. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of Italians, Serbians and stuff out there that aren't really great at listening to our rules.
So the Italians and the Serbians, us Dutch guys, we listen to the rules. Is that correct?
Sometimes, but
You get all the Vans out there and all the Hendrikses out there. We're a pretty good group too. We're a bit of a force.
More so I meant by that is that it's very hard for a big family not to invite their loved ones, as everybody is so close, right? So it definitely was tough, and it came with a lot of challenges. Absolutely.
Fair enough. I have to tell you, talking about this is a little more exciting than talking about real estate sometimes. So let's go down this path a little farther.
All right, let's do it.
Tell me something that was, a unique experience that you may have had. We have ours in real estate and meeting different people and so on. Do you have any, a story or two for us?
Definitely. I have many stories, but we'll keep it light for today, as
Okay.
I don't want to obviously cross the line here, but
We're not, no names,
No, okay.
no locations, generalities.
okay. So we'll start off with one where it really opened my eyes on different avenues. It was sadly, when it comes to a passing, you would think that your family's there for you at all times, and that they would obviously sit there and obviously respect you and make sure that you're taken care of in all ways. And
That sounds like a given.
yeah, it sounds like a given, but sadly, Jerry,
Something's coming up here. I have this feeling.
sadly, Jerry, that's not how it works, right? So when money comes into play, sadly, people become greedy, right? So one story off the top of my head was I had a family come on in, and the sisters were relatively distanced in a way, so they haven't seen each other in a while, but mom has just passed away, so now everybody's nice and close again when the paycheck comes and the money and the state settles. So we actually sadly had a full-on fist fight at one of our services because the two sisters couldn't agree that...
Are you talking like a full-on cat fight?
Full-on.
Right there. In the middle of the service?
Full-on service, about 80 people, and we had two ladies just completely go at it. Yep, it was definitely an interesting moment, and they had to be sadly escorted off the property by police officers. Yep.
Police.
Police had to get involved.
What do you have, bouncers?
No, sadly,
Did you have to change the rules and we need bouncers now?
Sadly, no, I'm definitely not a bouncer. I try and come off as professional as possible, so I left it to the big dogs for that one. No,
right. So someone literally called 911 the directors.
100%. Yeah. We have to, just because we have to keep it professional. It's not something that is appropriate at the morning of a loss, and it's something that we need to take care of and make sure it doesn't happen again, right?
Wow, that's crazy. So they pulled the two sisters out?
Pulled the sisters out. They were brought to the parking lot, and they continued once again in front of the police officers. So it was something that wasn't a one and done, and they kept going, right?
Wow. And you kept going with the service?
Yes.
A little awkward, I guess.
Yeah, that's a little bit awkward, but that's
then in the middle of eulogy.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone just breezed through that a little bit and, dealt with it and moved on.
That was definitely one of the stories. And then obviously the most intense one was pretty much when we had a gentleman that sadly murdered somebody back in the day, and he was allowed to come to the service for the mourning of his mother that recently passed away, as it was his right. And it was...
Hold on, what do you mean it's his right? So you're in prison.
Correct.
This was someone who committed a crime.
A very serious crime, correct.
Very serious, murder,
absolutely.
And he was found guilty, or he was up on charges?
He was actually, he was definitely found guilty, and he's been serving some time for quite a bit now, yeah.
So you're saying that somebody in prison has the right to leave prison and come to a funeral?
Under certain circumstances, yes, they are, because it, like I said, it is their right to make sure that they are able to pay their respects to their mother, as it's something that he was never going to get out. So it was important.
I didn't know that. Certainly for the rest of the family, it's important and good. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
It was definitely a weird scenario, and it was definitely something that was eye-opening, because I would have thought that their family would have in a way disowned him and not engaged with him, but it was something that they were all able to put their differences to the side and make sure that their loved one was respected, right? So
a little bit. So everybody's in their black suits and he's in his orange jumpsuit. Is that how it kind of goes down?
Exactly. So a buggy would come on in, and he's
a buggy?
A buggy, like an escort service. Kind of one of those big vans that you see. Where,
escort service. That's probably what got him in trouble in the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. It could have.
Jeez, they come in the police van.
Yep. And then they're escorted in by several different officers just in case if there's ever an escape or something. But he comes all shackled up from
shackles,
everything from the ankles to the wrist. Now they were released for a small amount of time when he was placing flowers down into his mother's grave. But it was definitely unique and different, as that was my first time witnessing that.
Wow.
Right? Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you said placing flowers at her grave. So she was actually at the cemetery, or this is at the funeral home?
This is directly at the cemetery.
Directly at the cemetery.
Directly.
That's where he came to.
Correct. He would not be allowed in the funeral home, most likely, just because that's a little bit more of a bigger crowd, where this was just immediate family only.
Immediate family only.
Yeah.
That's some crazy shit.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. It was definitely an eye opener, and it was definitely a day to walk into and realize what you were handling. That.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you had some awesome, incredible, different experiences. I would say those are a few one-offs, but the majority of the time, what was it like in your position there, and what would be the number one thing that you learned from being in that position?
The number one thing I learned about that position is don't take life for granted, right? It is something that you never know when your time is to come. And sadly, that's what I learned during COVID, where a lot of people suffered mental health issues, right? And it was definitely a sad time where majority of the time, when I first got into the industry, I would have expected it to be more 90, 100, 80-year-olds. Most of the time, it was anywhere from as young as a newborn infant to a 50-year-old young father or mother, where it was definitely tough, but it was a career that I needed, and it only gave me experience to do what hopefully I'm going to do in the future, right? And that's customer care. And at any time, someone can call you and pick up the phone and just say, hey, listen, so-and-so has passed away. We need you to look after it. And I would have to put my things aside and make sure they're taken care of, right? And I think that's exactly what real estate is in a way. You got to make sure the customer's taken care of, and they get quality service. Right?
Absolutely. The one thing that resonates with me, what I'm hearing from you, is empathy.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I think the empathy part is huge.
Absolutely.
Trying to step into their place where they're at.
Absolutely.
Not where you're at and your experience and everything else, but step into their life and where they're at. I always say our job's quite simple. People are at point A and they need to get to point B. Yeah. And we're just there to help them in that transition.
Well, in a way, I am too.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, I'd just rather than be in a new home point B. I don't really like your point.
Hey,
B.
we got some nice homes at the cemetery.
Yeah.
It's not all grass. It's definitely there's definitely options, right?
All right. Well, I just want that little nice mausoleum.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Build a nice tower for me or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I haven't quite figured that out. But that's the challenge, right? You pass away. If you haven't figured these things out, you leave it all on your family, even, cremation, burial. I'm jumping back to the whole.
Yeah, that's okay.
We were talking about real estate, but then now we're back and forth because, like I say, it's an interesting topic.
That was most of my career.
Yes, I'm probably never going to interview someone else again in what you did. So I'm trying to make the most of it here.
I love it.
But yeah, if they don't take action and share what they need or what they want, it leaves some guessing for their family sometimes.
Absolutely does. And
how do they deal with that?
It's terrible. It's terrible because you have mom or whoever passed away. Let's say if it was dad, you have mom and 3 possibly young girls or boys or girls, whatever the case is, and they don't even know where to go because they never had the conversation. And it's terrible because I'm the one that has to guide them through that. Now, when someone's cremated, it's a little bit more, I don't know, for sure in a way. Like you can't really turn back to that. Once they're cremated, it's something that sometimes sits with families where they're thinking in their heads, did I make the right choice? Is that what they would have wanted, right? So it was definitely that something that provided me professionalism. It provided me maturity. I started that at a very young age, and to be honest, I never went through a passing in my life, so it was something that
You never had a family member?
No,
relative,
never.
aunt, uncle, grandparent,
so
and so on?
It was in a way a blessing because I was able to kind of put it from their perspective where that might have been their first time. But most of the times I was just able to kind of guide them and hold their hand through it, right?
Nice.
And that's the most important part when it comes to customer service, is making sure that every step of the way they're taken care of, right?
Absolutely. And that's one of the benefits of being a brand new realtor. You're seeing these experiences for the first time. You can really step into that, right? Like I've been doing, as I mentioned, I've been doing this a long time. So it's a little bit different experience as you go through. For me, what I do is I move a lot.
Yeah, you sure do. No, you do.
So I move every 2 years. One, because I just like real estate, and it's not to flip and make money or anything else. Heather and I just like real estate. So, but what it does is it reminds me of all the fun, but the stresses that go along with that, right?
Yeah.
So again, it connects back with what I was sharing with you about your empathy.
Yeah.
When I've gone through that myself, I become more empathetic of the challenges and stresses that come with being to making a move, right?
Yep, absolutely.
But I think you're going to do an incredible job.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I actually mean that.
I'm proud of you already.
Thank you.
I've only known you a number of months. But you're an awesome guy.
Thank you.
And you just back up one sec. A lot of things we didn't cover today because we got too much. We got too much onto the funeral stuff.
Usually how it happens.
Because that's
Usually how it
fun.
happens. Yep.
But if you can just put yourselves in the place of someone who is looking to become a realtor, thinking about becoming a realtor, what would be your best advice to them today?
The best advice I can say is make sure it's something that, like when I first started in this conversation, I said I wanted to make sure it was a career, not a job, right? So
the conversation, you're referring to the conversation
that we were
real estate,
that we were having. Our conversation when I first started, I mentioned that it was something that was important to me, that it was a career, not a job, right? Real estate isn't something that you can just hop in and hop out of. Well, you can in a way, but it's something that didn't mean anything to myself. And I don't think that makes a good realtor, because you're in it for the long run, right? You're building connections, and it's not always going to be the fastest, or a marathon, or a sprint, sorry. It's a marathon, right? It's something that takes a lot of time. And I've learned that through the studying process, where I'm reading for 8 to 10 hours a day, making sure that I'm on top of everything, that I can smoothly go through everything and absorb as much information as possible. But the main thing I would say is that everybody's a little bit worried to speak to a brokerage. I interviewed with several brokerages before finding Jerry, and that was something that was very important to me, as I wanted to make sure the culture was right, that I was going to get the proper education from my mentors, and that I was going to have support, right? And that's something that I think every person for any career should obviously investigate and look into further, as that goes a long way, right?
Yeah.
It definitely does. And not only that, like this wasn't just a 1 year thing for me where I was like, oh, I want to be a realtor. It all started when I was younger, where I just loved looking at houses and being like, wow, how does someone afford that? Or wow, look what that person did to that home. And it was always my passion. I always loved interior design. I always loved those little things, and it brought me here, right? And I'm very grateful for it. And I'm very grateful for you and your team for bringing me in and taking care of me and taking a chance on me, as like I said, I'm not fully licensed yet. Not a lot of people would take that chance for that, right? So I truly appreciate you, and I appreciate the team, and I'm excited to see what comes next. Right?
Well, we're excited to have you.
Appreciate that.
I'm excited for you, for your path.
Thank you.
Starting with us. And you know what? Not every brokerage is for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
You made a great point. Go check out other places, right?
Absolutely.
We're growing our team. We are looking for new great realtors, future stars. But not everybody's going to be a fit for everybody. And that's totally cool.
Absolutely not. And like I said, I've interviewed with several different brokerages, and a lot of them weren't my fit. And there's no big deal to that. You will find your right fit. And I believe I'm in the right fit right now. And I'm very grateful for it once again.
Awesome. We're excited for the future.
I'm excited too, Jerry.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll catch you next time where we have Savannah joining us. Cheers.